Maranasan ng mga sumusunod: pananakit, pamumula at pamamaga sa parteng tinurukan, banayad na lagnat, sakit ng ulo, pananakit ng katawan at kasukasuan tulad ng sa trangkaso. Huwag mag-alala dahil normal, banayad at pansamantala lang ang mga ito. Kusang mawawala pagkatapos ng 1 hanggang 3 araw. Senyales ito na bumubuo ng proteksyon ng katawan laban sa COVID-19. Nabakunahan man o hindi pa, sundin pa rin ang minimum public health standards para patuloy ang proteksyon. Magsuot ng face mask at face shield, dumistansya sa ibang tao ng 1 metro o higit pa, hugasan ang mga kamay ng mabuti at madalas. Siguruhin na laging maayos ang ventilasyon sa mga lugar na pupuntahan. Para sa dagdag impormasyon, bisitahin ang DOH website sa doh.gov.ph at Facebook page. COVID-19, kayang-kaya nating tapusin. Isang paalala mula sa DOH, UNICEF at ng himpilang ito.
DXTV, Dipolo, Radyo Ronda.
This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Tonight on the program, another victory for President-elect Bongbong Marcos as legal hurdles leading court on the defense as they clear their name in the alleged smuggling of agricultural products. And as health officials report more cases of the highly infectious Omicron subvariants, the government gives the go signal for a 3rd dose of COVID-19 vaccines for healthy minors. Just 2 days before a historic inauguration, the Supreme Court hands down a decision solidifying Bongbong Marcos's win as the next president. The decision junked the petitions challenging his candidacy. Our senior correspondent Anjo Alimanio tells us more.
There's no stopping Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. from sitting as the 17th president of the Philippines, as the Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision, clears any legal hurdle leading to his inauguration on June 30th. The highest court of the land has spoken. Marcos is qualified to run and be elected to public office. They made it clear his certificate of candidacy is valid and in accordance with the law. That's why COMELEC was right in its decision, except for Justices Henry Inting and Antonio Co, who did not take part in the deliberations. Inting is the brother of acting COMELEC chairperson Socorro Inting, while Co is a former commissioner of the poll body. Civic leaders represented by lawyer Ted Tech questioned before the High Court COMELEC's junking of their petition to cancel Marcos' certificate of candidacy. A separate petition was filed by martial law victims to disqualify Marcos. They pointed out Marcos was convicted for non-filing of income tax returns from 1982 to 1985 when he was governor and vice governor of Ilocos Norte. They insisted Marcos committed a crime of moral turpitude and perjury for making false representations in his COC. COMELEC rejected this argument, saying the tax law applicable to Marcos did not perpetually disqualify him from holding public office. The poll body also says the 1977 tax code did not require mandatory prison time. Marcos also dismissed the petitions, pointing out that the Supreme Court no longer has jurisdiction on his case, saying it now falls within the sole jurisdiction of the Presidential Electoral Tribunal. The fight's not yet over for the petitioners. They can still file a motion for reconsideration, but it's going to be an uphill battle since they're up against a unanimous decision. Anjo Alimanio, CNN Philippines.
Organizers say the inauguration of incoming President Bongbong Marcos on June 30 will be solemn and simple. One of the heads of the preparation committee, Franz Imperial, says the program is all set except for some minor details they have yet to finalize. Marcos is expected to take his oath of office at exactly 12 noon on June 30th at the National Museum. Imperial says the inauguration will start with actress Toni Gonzaga singing the national anthem, followed by an ecumenical invocation. There will also be a 30-minute military civil parade and the singing of the inauguration song. Supreme Court Chief Justice Alexandra Gesmundo will administer the oath of office. No details yet on Marcos's inaugural speech, but Imperial says the president-elect will not be needing a teleprompter. The Philippine National Police saying it will exercise maximum tolerance for those planning to hold protest actions on Thursday. Interior Secretary Eduardo Año says they will only be allowed at designated freedom parks in Manila. These are the Liwasan Bonifacio, Plaza Dilao, Plaza Miranda, and Plaza Moriones. Police forces will be augmented in the areas to ensure a peaceful assembly, while mobile jails will be set up around the National Museum for any unruly individual.
Ang particular na na-monitor namin doon ay more on trying to embarrass the president while ongoing ang inauguration or taking. And this could be in various platforms, no? Yun nga, sinasabi natin, pwede sa mga nagrarally, hihiyaw sila doon, baka mag-attempt sila magsunog ng APG. Tapos sa mga online and website platforms, pa pwedeng gawin nila yun. Kaya nga kasama rin natin ang DICT dito.
Meron tayong ilalagay na bus ng BGMP na para if ever the case arises, no, kailangan talaga ando doon na po yung ating bus ng BGMP. Doon natin lalagay yung mga nagiging unruly, no? Kung meron man pong pangyayaring ganun.
Some government workers will join protest actions on Thursday. The Confederation for Unity, Recognition and Advancement of Government Employees, or COURAGE, calls on its members to gather at the Liwasan Bonifacio to demand from the incoming administration a living wage, job security, and respect for union rights, among others. A group of martial law victims will also have their own so-called oath-taking at the Bantayog ng mga Bayani in Quezon City on the same day. The group urges the public to take part, quote, to guard against tyranny, falsehoods, and the trampling of people's rights and freedoms, unquote. Amnesty International has said more than 70,000 are known to have been tortured, killed, or disappeared during the martial law era under Bongbong Marcos' father, the late former dictator Ferdinand Marcos. CNN Philippines will bring you the presidential inauguration as it happens this Thursday, June 30th at the National Museum in Manila. Catch our special coverage beginning at 9 a.m. with senior anchor Pinky Webb and myself. Relief for jeepney drivers and operators still hitting roadblocks, with transport authorities yet to decide on appeals for additional fare increases. Paige Javier tells us whether drivers could expect a decision before the new administration takes over.
Transport regulators still have their hands full 2 days before they step down from office. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board has yet to decide on a petition for an additional 1 peso provisional jeepney fare increase in Metro Manila, Central Luzon, and Region 4. They also demand a 2 peso provisional hike of minimum fare in other regions. The LTFRB recently approved a 1 peso minimum fare hike for the first 4 kilometers in those regions. Jeepney drivers say the proposed increase is better than nothing.
Pero malaking bagay sana kung madadagdagan yung pamasahe para kahit pa paano may pandagdag pang diesel.
Taas ng gas, taas ng diesel, wala na kami kinikita eh.
Transport groups who filed the petition say the increase is urgent amid another round of fuel price hike. Most commuters are sensitive to the clamor of jeepney drivers and operators.
Kawawa rin naman yung mga driver.
Para din naman yan sa mga sa mga driver natin.
Pabor po ako lalo na nung may nakausap po akong jeepney driver.
LTFRB Executive Director Tina Cachon says a decision will be out by June 30th.
It's really very hard for the board na maglabas ng ganitong klaseng decision if in terms of what is happening right now also, because it will impact not only the operators and the drivers but the commuters as well.
The National Economic Development Authority, or NEDA, warns of further increase in inflation if an additional fare hike is approved. Cachon says they are facing another tall order: petitions for a permanent fare increase ranging from 5 to 6 pesos and 2.50 for succeeding kilometers. The LTFRB says It is already reviewing the proposals, but it's up to the next administration to decide.
Kailangan i-discuss ng maigi ito eh. Malaki masyado yung increase na hinihingi. Kaya kailangan nating bigyan ng time yung NEDA to really study what will be the inflationary impact. It would also be unfair for this board na magdedesisyon bigla-bigla.
The next hearing for the main petitions is on July 27th. Kashon says she's hoping that incoming LTFRB officials will prioritize the POV modernization program. As for jeepney drivers, they could only wish their pleas won't fall on deaf ears. Paige Javier, CNN Philippines.
10,000 jeepney drivers may receive their fuel subsidies by end June or the first week of July, while the LTFRB admits delays in the aid distribution for over 600,000 tricycle drivers, citing technical issues. Another crisis for consumers as experts project a potential water shortage in 3 years' time. Senior correspondent Lois Calderon reports a water supply firm begins recycling water as early as now.
Drinking water. We drink it every day and often take it for granted. But it's becoming scarce. 3 years from now, or by 2025, 1.8 billion people, or 2/3 of the world's population, will face water shortages. That's the estimate of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. Companies like Maynilad are moving to find other sources, like water from your kitchen and toilets, with all the grime and slime. That's unthinkable for many. But the Philippines is learning lessons from Singapore and Africa, the trailblazers in water recycling.
Mahaba ang pinagdaanan na journey ng Maynilad bago kami nakarating dito. Nag-research, nag-test, nag-further test, nag-validation, nag-benchmarking, at eventually na pumili kami ng teknolohiya.
Ultraviolet disinfection, biological treatment, chlorination, ultrafiltration, and reverse osmosis. Wastewater goes through each of these stages.
Think of the water filters you have at home, but this one is of a bigger scale. 3 ultrafilter membranes working so hard to make sure that no virus, no bacteria, or any other contaminants will pass through.
Maynila dubbed it as new water, with clearance from the Department of Health, MWSS, and DENR. They made a toast to that milestone by drinking the treated water themselves.
Kung ano yung nakaset na parameters according to Philippine National Standard of Drinking Water. Katulad din ng nasabi nila na lahat naman dumaan.
The threat of a water crisis is real. Maynila produces 2,600 millions of liters per day. Its customers need 5% on top of that. So there's a supply crunch.
The water supply is really tight and we can't build a new dam overnight.
For now, Maynilad can pump just 10 million liters of recycled water per day back into households. Their pilot areas, 2 barangays in Parañaque. Lois Calderon, CNN, Philippines.
Straight ahead on Newsnight, a Senate report bears the names of agriculture and customs officials allegedly involved in the smuggling of agricultural products. And the health department reporting new cases of more transmissible Omicron subvariants. We break down the numbers next. Stay tuned.
Ngayong pandemic, serving others is the best. Sa pagtutulungan, patuloy ang ating laban sa buhay. Kaya dapat always healthy. With proper diet, exercise, and MX3 coffee mix to ignite my day. Hi guys! Lagi akong focused, active, at extraordinary. Because the most important things in life deserve nothing less. MX3 coffee mix, my choice.
Fried chicken? Timplang happy. With easy-to-cook Magnolia Chicken Templados. Iba't ibang sarap ng chicken, kaya. Anong Magnolia Chicken Templados mo? Iba't ibang easy chicken sarap.
Eyes on me everywhere, but I still take the dare. My game is always fair.
Beyond bringing power to all, we're taking steps to produce and deliver Earth-friendly energy today and for our children's tomorrow. Powering the good life. Meralco.
You're watching CNN Philippines. A Senate committee report tags agriculture and customs officials in the smuggling of agricultural products. Senate President Tito Soto says the list was based on a validated intelligence report. Amor Santos gives us the meat of the story.
These are the names of alleged smugglers and their protectors in government, according to a validated intelligence report received by Senate President Tito Soto on May 17th. Soto included this list in a committee of the whole report filed on the last session day. Although it was not tackled in plenary, it's now considered public record. 17 senators signed it, and the highest official tagged in the report, Customs Commissioner Ray Guerrero. Joining him are 4 of his men. He attended the hearings as a resource person, saying seizures have increased over the years. The Senate probe showed 667 million pesos worth of smuggled agri-fishery commodities over the past 3 years, but not a single conviction has been made. All in all, there are 31 pending smuggling cases, with 1 case submitted for resolution. In March, Benguet farmers said they have been forced to give away their harvest as smuggled carrots flooded markets. Also listed in the report are Agriculture Undersecretary Ariel Cayanan and officials from the Bureau of Plant Industry and Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Industry.
Magtanong po tayo kung meron po tayong tinatawagan o inimpluensyahan. Idamay na po natin at isama yung mga importers, legal man or allegedly smugglers, na nabanggit kung meron po akong transaction or any connection sa kanila. And I'm pretty quite sure wala po.
The report also names a certain Toby Tiangco. The Navotas City Mayor clears his name, saying implicating him would be ironic when he has done efforts to curb smuggling. Senate President Tito Soto says the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency validated the report. It means the intelligence body is also investigating these people. Incoming Senator Robin Padilla has an appeal to erring government officials, while Senator Coco Pimentel is calling on the Ombudsman to launch a motu proprio investigation.
Kung yan po ay dumaan na sa NBI yan, dumaan na talaga sa tinatawag nating investigasyon, mapatunayan, ay mag-resign.
If the Marcos administration would want to focus on smuggling, napakalaking bagay na po yun. The entire Senate is making that point. Yung sinabi niya, there is a need to reorganize the internal division of the DA. Tama rin po yun. And I hope he takes into account the committee of the whole report of the Senate.
Soto earlier said the list has been submitted to President-elect Bongbong Marcos. Amor Santos, CNN Philippines.
In a statement, Customs Commissioner Ray Guerrero refuted claims of his involvement in agricultural smuggling. Guerrero also says law enforcement agencies such as the NICA, Armed Forces, and National Police denied releasing an intelligence report implicating any customs official. Senate President Tito Soto earlier said the list came from NICA, but the intelligence body's director, Edsel Batalla, denies this. The Philippines reports more cases of the highly infectious Omicron subvariants. 50 more people tested positive for the BA.5, bringing the total tally to 93, while the health department found 11 new BA.2.12.1 cases and 2 more BA.4 infections. Most of the cases were detected in Western Visayas and among returning overseas Filipinos. Health officials are still verifying their travel histories. More minors can soon get additional protection from COVID-19 amid rising cases. Health Secretary Francisco Duque says booster vaccination of healthy minors 12 to 17 years old may begin within the week. The rollout was initially put on hold following the requirement of at least 40% booster coverage among senior citizens.
The 40% coverage for senior citizens as a requirement has been retracted already by the HTAC, because the HTAC was made to understand after some meetings with the NBOC chair, si Yusek Kabutahe, na operationally it's very difficult to make that requirement, to implement that particular requirement. It's impracticable. It will only mean to delay.
The general adolescent population may get their boosters 5 months after their second dose. Meanwhile, Dr. Tony Leachon, former special advisor for COVID-19, recommends second booster shots for economic frontliners and people with comorbidities. President-elect Marcos has yet to name the next health secretary. The whole country now awaiting who will take on one of the most crucial cabinet positions in the incoming administration. The chosen one will face several health and pandemic challenges early on. Caroline Bodkin breaks them down for us.
A looming COVID-19 surge is among the first battles President-elect Bongbong Marcos has to face as he assumes office.
Ferdinand Marcos Jr. confronting decision points as he charts the country's path in a pandemic. Retain or abolish the COVID-19 Interagency Task Force. How to speed up slow vaccine booster rate. Will he keep the country under a state of calamity? A decision affecting access, supply of COVID-19 vaccines and treatments.
So isa yan sa dapat pag-aralan maigi, challenge for us also, on how we can be able to consolidate all the efforts of all local governments, national government agencies, the private sector.
Then calls to strengthen the healthcare system. San Lazaro Hospital in Manila is a referral facility for communicable diseases. Here, Annalyn Saludario is seeking aid from the Malasakit Center for a laboratory test. Her concern, a type of parasitic worm infection that she has suffered from for 2 years. Left untreated, it could attack her liver and brain.
Hirap po, kakatulad ngayon, asawa ko lang po nagtatrabaho. Wala po kaming pampagamot Wala po talaga akong pampacheck up.
She has a wish that resonates with many others.
Matulungan niya po yung mga mahirap, na maano po yung malabanan po nila yung mga sakit nila. Hindi na po matakot magpa-hospital.
Government helps the poor pay hospital bills, yet the lines are long for other medical needs.
Wala kaming pambayad sa laboratory. So ang ginagawa po namin, we refer this to Malasakit Foundation. Pag hindi nasasalo po, we try to look for other ways po. Okay? Kasi may mga funding naman po from our politicians, may mga guarantee letter, PCSO.
San Lazaro Hospital spokesperson Dr. Ferdinand de Guzman hopes government will spend more for health services and hospital upgrades.
We hope that they would continue a program similar to this, or they would continue the aims and goals of the Malasakit program.
A group of health workers also has a wish list. On top of it, raising the minimum wage for nurses and hospital staff.
Both public and private, dapat na nurses at entry, salary entry, ay dapat nasa 50,000 na po ngayon. At yung ating salary grade 1 sa gobyerno, ang panawagan natin, ay dapat nasa 25,000 na po ngayon.
Data aggregator iPrice Group's report in 2020 shows the Philippines is at the bottom in terms of health workers' pay within ASEAN. Mendoza says salary upgrade is important for health workers to stay in the country and prevent understaffing in facilities. The health sector is also asking the new administration to appoint honest and qualified people to state health insurer PhilHealth, which is now facing corruption issues. PhilHealth is key in carrying out the Universal Healthcare Act until 2025, providing health coverage to all Filipinos with low out-of-pocket expenses. For now, a first crucial step, appointing the next health secretary, will help realize Marcos's goals to improve health services under his term. Caroline Bongkin, CNN Philippines.
Outgoing Vice President Leni Robredo already has plans for her first days out of office. Her Angat Buhay NGO launches July 1st at the organization's Volunteer Center in Quezon City. This comes with a 2-day street festival until Saturday featuring pink memorabilia from Robredo's presidential campaign. Slots for the event ran out 2 hours after Robredo's post. Angat Buhay began as a program under the Office of the Vice President with initiatives like COVID response and disaster relief. In other news, solo parents are now entitled to more benefits under a new measure. The expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act lapsed into law after being left without President Rodrigo Duterte's signature. Under the measure, solo parents can get a 7-day paid leave if they have been employed for at least 6 months instead of the previous 1-year clause. Solo parents who earn a minimum or less than minimum wage will be given a monthly cash subsidy of 1,000 pesos. Those who earn less than 250,000 pesos are entitled to a 10% discount and exemption from value-added tax on babies' milk, diapers, vaccines, and medicine until the child is 6 years old. Solo parents can avail of scholarship programs, while one child can get a full scholarship if qualified. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, for fans of K-pop sensation 17, find out how much you need to save up for tickets for their 2-day Manila concert. Plus, BTS's J-Hope gives ARMYs a glimpse of the first track off his solo record, revealing a new side of the rapper. You're watching CNN Philippines.
Find more reasons to drive with the Toyota Vios, the Philippines' best-selling sedan that's made for Filipinos by Filipinos and is still the quality, durable, and reliable car that you love. Now with an upgraded hands-free entertainment feature for your driving convenience. Perfect for heart-stirring, spirited drives on the road. The Toyota Vios. Find more reasons to drive.
Sa dami ng taong nakalipas, salamat dahil hindi niyo kami iniwan. Dahil sa inyong tulong, mas naging maayos ang akala namin nakalimutan na. Basta't nariyan kayo, alam namin hindi mapapabayaan ang aming paghihirap para sa sarili, sa pamilya, sa kapwa, at sa bansa. Kampante kami, basta't kasama kayo.
Ang isa pang tinutulong po kasi ng mga construction projects, bukod po doon sa mga construction sectors, once natapos na po lahat ng proyekto, it attracts investments, and more investments would mean more employment opportunities for all of us.
It is one of the purposes of San Miguel Infrastructure to provide more jobs to our fellow Filipino workers through these infrastructure projects. Partnering with local contractors means supporting the Philippine workforce as a whole, since these projects, big or small, truly help and provide jobs.
Welcome back to Newsnight. Where are some of your favorite NBA players headed for the 2022-23 season? The Brooklyn Nets' Kyrie Irving is likely staying with the team. The player is opting into his $37 million player option for the last year of his contract. Previously, there was talk of the Los Angeles Lakers signing Irving to reunite the former Cleveland champion duo of LeBron James and Kyrie. And reports from news outlets like Yahoo and ESPN say John Wall of the Houston Rockets is set on joining the LA Clippers. The player and his current team settled a contract buyout, allowing Wall to become a free agent. Entertainment news now. Stranger Things fans, are you ready to take a trip back to the Upside Down? Netflix dropped a new poster for Season 4, Volume 2 of its hit sci-fi show. The preview hints at Eleven and Max playing a big role again in facing the villain, Vecna. Volume 2 comes out Friday. But Pinoy fans are flipping over another teaser right in the Glorieta Mall in Makati. Take a look at the mall sign with a 4 turned upside down instead of 7. To promote the much-awaited Part 2 of the season. There was also an exhibit inside Glorieta mimicking the terrifying alternate dimension in the show. And trending in K-pop, J-Hope of BTS reveals the first single for his solo album, Jack in the Box, will be called More. The track's release is scheduled Friday. J-Hope also dropped these concept pictures, hinting at a darker concept for his latest solo venture. The BTS rapper previously released his own mixtape called Hope World back in 2018. And heads up, Pinoy Carrots ticket prices are out for 17's October 8 and 9 concerts in the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay. Prices range from 2,900 pesos to 18,450 pesos. Tickets selling for the show and, quote, ang mahal trended on Twitter after the announcement. Pre-sale registration begins today. And that is it for now. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Ontares for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
RPN Radio Philippines Network DXTV Dipolo Radyo Ronda.
Tanong ng bayan, maaari bang magbabakuna ang mga breastfeeding moms o mga nagpapasuso? Ang sagot, oo, maaari silang bakunahan. Ayon sa World Health Organization, kung ang isang nagpapasuso ay kabilang sa grupong inirekomendang magbabakuna base sa COVID-19 vaccination eligibility criteria. Halimbawa, kung siya ay health worker, dapat siyang mabakunahan. Inirekomenda ring ituloy ang pagpapasuso bago o pagkatapos magpabakuna. Para sa dagdag impormasyon, bisitahin ang DOH website sa doh.gov.ph at Facebook page. COVID-19, kayang-kaya nating tapusin. Isang paalala mula sa DOH, UNICEF at ng himpilang ito.
DXTV Dipolo Radyo Ronda.
He currently chairs the Senate Committee on Energy and Basic Education. He wants to serve in the upper chamber for another 6 years. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian is seeking re-election. We now get up close with the senator about his platforms and plans. Senator Win, thank you so much for joining us on this program. Pass or fail the first few days of the pilot phase of face-to-face classes in 100 public schools?
My grade will be pass. I went to 2 provinces to look at the setup. I went to Zambales and also to Quezon. And I have to give credit where credit is due. The teachers, principals, the superintendents, they all did a good job in preparing. In fact, they have much stricter health protocols in our schools compared to some hospitals. And they made do with whatever they had to make sure that our children are safe going back to school. And this is a learning process for us. And I'm pushing to increase the number of pilot schools, hopefully more than 1,000 across the different parts of our country.
If you are re-elected, how do you plan to improve the educational system?
Rico, first on the agenda is to invest in our teachers. Our teachers is the most important educational input that we can invest on. And we have very good teachers, we have dedicated teachers, In fact, during the pandemic, Rico, I've seen firsthand their sacrifices in order to bring education to the homes of our learners. But we need to support them. Number one, we need to make sure that they get also the best education possible during their college days, and then we support them with competitive benefits and salaries, because we're still very far off compared to Singapore, compared to Malaysia, even Thailand. We're very far off in terms of salaries and benefits. And make sure that they get the necessary training while they are teaching, because we need to improve their competencies and upgrade their skills during their service in government.
Senator Win, you chair the Senate Energy Committee, and currently what is being discussed is the sale of the Malampaya deal to Odena of Dennis Uy. Should this deal be undone?
Well, Rico, I'll put my other hat, no, from basic education to the Energy Committee. In my analysis and my review of all the documents, I call this deal Lutong Macau, because the evaluation that is supposed to be conducted in order to assure all of us that the new operators qualified was tweaked in order for Udena to get this transaction. And I showed in many instances that in terms of the legal, in terms of the technical, and in terms of the financial, they evaluated two separate companies. So how can you approve a transaction wherein you evaluated two separate companies? And that's not what is prescribed under the law and what is prescribed under the Department Circular of DOT. So in my opinion, this evaluation is defective. Therefore, the approval is invalid. And we're now studying, Rico, on how to move forward with this invalid approval.
So if it's an invalid approval and it is undone, what happens next?
This is where the complexity comes in. Malampaya is an ongoing concern. Malampaya is an operating concern. It supplies 4 million homes, about 1/5 of our energy needs here in Luzon. So we need to study carefully that operations will not be hampered. What's important right now is electricity, the continuous flow of electricity to our homes. And we need to isolate this whole doubtful process from the operations of Malampaya, because we need to keep Malampaya running.
The development of the energy sector, Senator Win, was not a priority of the Duterte administration over the past 5 years. And the looming energy crisis is giving a lot of goosebumps to Filipino consumers, businesses, and the industry itself. What needs to be done to ensure power supply security for our kababayans?
Well, Rico, you hit the nail on its head. I've seen what we call the energy sufficiency of our country. Before, we're at a high of about 55% self-sufficient. We're now at around 50%, and it will go below 50%, because with the impending depletion of Malampaya, we have no choice but to import natural gas. So it will go below 50%, meaning we'll be importing more than 50% of our energy needs. So to increase our self-sufficiency, we have to use what we have. No? Number one is renewable energy. We have about 30,000 megawatts of potential renewable energy that we can explore in the country, or we can maximize. And then we should continue to explore oil and gas. The West Philippine Sea is a vast area of potential, of oil and gas potential. And we only have one, no? Malampaya operating. We can have more of that in the West Philippine Sea.
From education to energy, Senator Win, I want us to take a look at the political drama that took place over the weekend at the Commission on Elections and all the substitutions. You aspired to be the Vice President of Sara Duterte if she ran for President. Are you disappointed that she did not run for the presidency?
Well, I respect her decision, Rico. And for me, what's important is she ran for a national post. When I was vying for her vice presidency, I vied for vice president because I believe in her track record, her experience, and also her character. I've worked with her when we were mayors before. We were both mayors at one point, and I've worked with her closely, especially in the legal cities, and I've seen her diligence and her firmness when it comes to governance. So I believe in her capability, and what's important is now she's vying for a top post, and I think she'll be good for the country.
And who will you support for president, Senator Win?
We're still talking about that in our party, Rico. We're still waiting. November 15 just passed, and we need to evaluate very closely our decisions within the party. So we're still discussing that.
All right. The substitution provision and the omnibus election code was used and abused over the weekend. Should there be changes after next year's elections?
Well, Rico, me along with 4 other senators filed the bill to remove, as one of the grounds for substitution, voluntary withdrawal. Meaning substitution can happen only when somebody dies or somebody becomes incapacitated or disqualified, 3 grounds. But voluntary withdrawal should be removed as one of the grounds because clearly, Rico, it's being used as a parking space, for candidates. And my fear is in the future, this will be abused and even made money off. We will probably see candidates will file ahead of time and then sell their position. And we don't want this to be a bad precedent for the country.
Let's now take a look at the economy. Millions of Filipinos are still out of jobs, Senator Win. The economy remains weak and faces a long road towards recovery. If you are re-elected, Senator, how will you try to jumpstart the economy and create jobs through legislation?
True, Rico. Unemployment remains to be elevated at 8%. That's approximately about 4 million unemployed individuals. My take on a fast recovery should be working capital should be ready for businesses, especially in tourism and small and micro businesses. Our economy will eventually swing back. But the problem is because of the last 1 year, a lot of the working capitals of this company, especially in tourism, especially small and medium enterprises, have been depleted. Some of them operated and some of them even did not shut down for the sake of their employees. But when the economy returns back to normal, they will not have enough capital to take advantage of that. So government should provide easy loans, should provide working capital that they can tap into and swing with the economy upwards.
Let's focus now on this issue of corruption. A lot of allegations taking place over the last few months and couple of years. It is systemic in our bureaucracy. How should we fight it, Senator?
Well, no, that's a very tough question, Rico. In fact, this morning I was in a forum. I said 3 things that will remain in our country for the next generations: corruption, drugs, and poverty. We need to put the system and strengthen the institutions because this will be a long haul in terms of fighting poverty, fighting drugs, and even poverty. We need to make sure that institutions are strong and efficient. For example, I'll give you a very clear example. In terms of prosecuting and convicting corrupt officials, it should not take years. If you will convict officials and it will take 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, nobody will believe in the system. Nobody will respect the system. We need to make sure that the turnaround is faster so we can penalize and we can punish corrupt officials, and that will send a strong signal to those who are intending to steal and to corrupt the system.
And we will continue our up-close conversation with Senator Win Gatchalian after a quick break. And This is the final word on CNN Philippines. I'm Rico Hizon, and still with us for tonight's Up Close before the Filipino votes is re-electionist Senator Sherwin Gatchalian. Senator, you mentioned that three issues that will stay with us for many years to come. One is corruption, the other one is poverty, and drugs. How should the new government fight this war on drugs? Should it continue to adopt an ironclad, no-nonsense anti-drug policy?
He has to approach it in two ways, no? And I think the most simple equation there will be the demand and the supply side. I really believe that we should also put a lot of effort in the demand side. Go to our high schools, go to our schools and teach our students not to go into this very unproductive activities. And in Valenzuela, that's what we did. On the supply side, we need to deal it with an iron hand. I don't believe in dealing with drugs with this very soft approach. We need to make sure that we apprehend the bigger fish rather than the smaller fish on the streets. And we have to make sure that intelligence is also funded. This can only be arrested with A1 intelligence tracking down the bigger fish in the trade.
Senator, I have 6 questions for you, and you can only answer them with a yes or a no, and no explanation. My first question to you is...
That's a bit difficult task, Rico.
Yes or no? Do you favor easier public access to the statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth of the President,
Yes.
Vice President, and the members of Congress?
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution?
Yes, but I have a qualification to that, but yes.
Do you favor the reimposition of the death penalty for drug-related crimes?
Yes, I agree with that.
Should a sitting president be allowed to run for senator in the next election?
Yes.
Do you favor resuming peace talks with communist rebels?
Yes.
And should the country be more aggressive in protecting its maritime interests in the West Philippine Sea?
Definitely.
Senator, your final word now on why our kababayan should re-elect you to the Senate for another 6 years.
Well, first of all, Rico, thank you for this opportunity. And I commit to our constituents that no single penny will be wasted in investing in this representation. I've enacted 15 bills, both in the energy sector and in the education sector, and I'll continue to work hard for the betterment of our country.
Thank you so much for joining us in our up-close conversation, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian.
DXTV